Yo, 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 what up, what up?
What's good, y'all?
Prism Black podcast is back at it once again. Once again, I am one third of the Prism Black boys, going by the name of William H. You can follow me on IG at Murphy's Law 615, and my two co-hosts, two of my best good friends. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
I'm Banks himself, aka the dude who just hit his tooth on his coffee cup. Might have to go to dentist tomorrow.
I'm Carl Tomlinson, aka Chaos Black. Glad to be here tonight.
How's everybody's week going so far?
Shit! No, just playing. It's cool. It's cool, man. You know, just working, getting off work, doing outside projects, and then going to sleep and then going to work the next day. You know, just regular stuff. Trying not to, you know, get back on my bills. You know, just trying to live, bro.
Out here surviving. Carl, what's going on with you, man? Anything exciting in Carl world?
Not too much, man. Just doing the normal.
Dang. Well, y'all sound boring. All right, guess it's on me. I got
What
the
you do this
exciting stuff.
weekend? What you do this? Nah, fuck that. What you do this week? World's most
Actually,
interesting man. What you do
yeah,
this week?
actually, this week I got my kindergartner ready for first grade. That was big. I took my little girl back to school shopping and realized that I have no clue how to dress a 6-year-old little girl. So I had to call grandma in for the rescue because I was about to have Ray Ray out here looking like a dipset. And yeah, I don't know if that was going to be a good look in the first grade. But for the record, I saw nothing wrong with like jeggings and cute little sneakers, boots, and hoodie combinations. But yeah, I don't think that's how 6-year-olds dress.
It is if you buying their clothes. You better put that shit on. Yeah, you better put that shit on.
No, moms came through it because I didn't want to set my baby out, but moms came through and definitely added the feminine touch. Like, thank God for grandmas because that's needed. Because essentially, I was dressing her like I would have dressed Lil Man or something. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and my daughter's girly. Like, she's very girly. Like, she'll go with it just because I'm buying stuff, but she likes to be girly a little bit. So, or a lot of it. So, but a lot of things jumping off in the comics world this week. I made it a habit to stop by Rick's. First and foremost, August 14th coming up. If you are in Nashville, where I am, Free Comics Day. That's going to be this Friday. So look out for that. Wait, is that Friday or Saturday? 14th. Yeah, that's Saturday, excuse me. But August 14th, Free Comic Book Day. Also coming up, Music City Multicon, October 29th to the 31st. It's going to be going down at Lebanon as Nashville's largest multi fandom. They're going to have everything: artist alley, pinball tournaments, cosplay contests, virtual reality gaming, comics, toys, all sorts of panels, vendors. I stopped in there last year. I accidentally stumbled upon it trying to get my little brother to a party. No, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago because we were on lock 2020. But it's going to be a good time. So Prism Black will be in the building. So look for us. We'll be out and about. But guys, I was reading up on some things DC because tonight's topics for our audience. We're going to do a review on the Long Halloween parts 1 and 2 and Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad, not to be confused with the Suicide Squad. It came out a couple years back, but Jim Lee from DC made a statement that DC is going to continue publishing comic books. And I did some digging on that, and turns out there's been a huge migration to digital. What do y'all
That's,
think about a world, or could y'all imagine a world without physical comic books?
I mean, I don't think there'll ever be a world without physical comic books. I think they'll turn more into like a collector's thing. But yeah, for the run of the mill reader, I don't think people are flocking in droves to the comic book store to get comics when they know they can get them online. Um, Unless you just really want that physical copy. I mean, for me, it's easier to read if it's a physical copy. I just like looking at it. I don't like the feel of scrolling and looking at pictures and stuff like that. So that's just me. So I'll probably be one of the people that still buys the books. But in general, I think they're. I think digital's been a thing for like a while now. So
Any thoughts, Carl?
Um, you'll always have people who prefer a hard copy, just like a book or things along that line. So they'll I don't they'll never stop making physical copies, but I mean you'll probably see an increase in digital copies bought just because of the convenience. You don't have to, especially with things that have happened now with COVID. Like you don't actually have to go to the store and get them. So you have people buy both, but I don't think either one will go out of style or uh, along those lines.
Yeah, I hope so. I err on the side with y'all. Like I prefer to have physical, and sometimes it's just nostalgic for me to be able to go by and pop my head into my mom pop or whatever, and hey, what's new on the comic wall? But it's dawned on me. I've said that before about things that have gone out, phased out. Like I remember my mom's 8 track up under the record player, up under the CD player, the 5 disc when that was a thing. And you'd be hard pressed, like stuff like that's made a comeback to be like as a collector's item now. But we've seen a number of rare things just come and go once in a lifetime. In our lifetimes, it was the start of it, and it kind of faded to black. And it's just dawned on me because I've got a bunch of apps that send me updates on new comics and new issues, things coming out, whether it's manga or comics or graphic novels, every day, weekly and stuff. It just dawned on me. I'm like, yo, is this like the same way bookstores faded out? Like we used to think Barnes and Nobles wouldn't downsize completely, but you hard pressed to find just a whole bunch of bookstores out there now. But just food for thought. Like I hope we never see that come to fruition. Like I do appreciate being able to go and just buy a comic, but that's interesting times we're living in. Moving along with that, Misha Green, Carl. I think in representation or at some point in the last 2 episodes we mentioned Lovecraft Country being a one and done, and looking forward to seeing a second season. Or I was on the side of I was kind of great that I was okay with them having one season, but Misha Green inked a deal with Apple overall multi-year to just produce shows and content, movies, and she shed some light on what she was thinking for season 2 of Lovecraft Country. Yeah, would y'all like to hear the direction she was going to take this?
Um,
I mean, do y'all give a damn? I'm a fan
I
of
mean,
Misha Green, so
I've seen it, but I thought it was a one and done, so I never thought about a season two.
yeah,
Um,
neither did I. But dig this. Here's what season 2 would have focused on. She had planned to introduce, and this is coming from Shadow and Act article. This was written by Monique Jones. But she was planning to introduce an alternate view of America that would now be broken up into different territories. One called the New Negro Republic, two, the Jefferson Commonwealth, the White Lands, where zombies reside, and then a fourth known as the Tribal Nations of the West. The second season would have been called Lovecraft Country Supremacy. React.
Thanks.
I was sold with the zombies bit. I mean, before that, like the New Negro, I was just kind of like, wait, what? But when I got to the zombies bit, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in.
I don't know, dog. Like, I don't know.
So I guess I'll go then. But um
I don't think I would have enjoyed that. I'm a give her because I really did like Lovecraft Country, and so I'm gonna give her a shot. But I don't know, dog. That don't sound good to me.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Mm.
It don't sound good to me. Like
uh,
this, like do y'all do people? Am I the only one that get tired of like slave movies and black people writing about being oppressed and stuff like that?
Well, this is an alternate view. I think this is picking up, if I'm connecting dots off how season 1 ended, things changed. Niggas know how to use magic. Excuse my you using that the French there, but
I know,
I
but
mean, an alternate view of America is it's sparked my interest.
just like giving like the synopsis and stuff like that, and like the name of it, it sounds like it's some antebellum mixed with some Lovecraftian horror, but it's still antebellum. Like it's just segregated areas, and then like you're gonna have like racist zombies and stuff like that. I mean, that's
Well,
what it sounds
Carl,
like. That's what it sounds like to me.
Carl, what's your take?
um unlike many people, I was disappointed that there wasn't going to be a second season of Lovecraft Country, just because I'm a fan of science fiction, things along that line, and obviously you have uh, black writer. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the director was black, but like an all black cast and whatnot. And um, of course, with any show, you're not gonna like 100% of everything they broadcast in the show. But for the most part, I enjoyed it, and listening to what she had envisioned for the second season. I would have been for that just because uh, I'm not saying you're wrong, Banks, but when I hear that description, I don't look at it more so as like a time just out of slavery, where it was like segregation. I almost just look at it like no, like black people own this part of the country, and there's a different part of the country that belongs to something else. But for as far as like this area, this is ours or whatnot, and like I'm okay with that. And as far as like do you get tired of of shows or movies with slavery? It's not so much. I'm not I'm not tired of them. I think I think there should be representation like that just for younger generations so they can see and be educated on topics like that because a lot of kids, a lot of black kids coming up, you'd be surprised are completely ignorant to all of that information or whatnot, and you would think it would be common knowledge, but it's not.
A
And
lot of alt facts about it, Carl. Like
and
you right on that one. There's a
and
lot of alternative facts about it.
and here's the thing, and um another reason I'm not tired of it is just the fact that that's not the problem. Making shows or movies like that isn't the problem. It's just there just needs to be more representation of different things. Like I don't think people would be complaining about like slave movies and TV shows if you just had more representation of us being superheroes, even if it's fictional, or more TV shows and movies of African civilizations um, um, before colonization, or whatnot happens, or whatnot happens in history, or what. And like as I always say to my friends or whatnot, it's amazing. Black people will say they're tired of slave shows, but they're not tired of doughboy TV shows and movies though.
That shit too.
Do we have a sound effect for a point like a gunshots for Carl? Because he's shooting. He's shooting. He's shooting at the art. No, I'm with you, Carl, because I know a lot of people are triggered by slavery themes and stuff like that. And, it's PTSD, black trauma, stuff like that. I'm not actually bothered by it. Like, if that's what the story is, I take the story for what it is. And I kind of tap in, tune in, because when there's no because, I'm also the guy who can sit and I attempted a 300 horror movie marathon. So obviously, I don't have a problem with some sort of specific traumas. And I enjoy still seeing, like you said, it's a lot of new kids are ignorant to some of the things that happen. Um, I was bringing up in a conversation with somebody, I mentioned Rosewood, and I actually had to explain Rosewood as a movie to somebody, and that kind of blew my mind. I was like, "Yo, that's one of the movies, Rosewood, Mississippi Burning, impactful on my life. Like to this day, watching those back to back, I get kind of triggered. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy them, but it's like, ugh. But I just want to get y'all's take on that. So,
And hold on, I don't mean to cut you off, but like I used to be a teacher, and I kid you not, I was sitting in class in a middle school classroom. This was like either I can't remember. I think it was sixth. It was either sixth or seventh grade. Nothing full of black boys or whatnot. And I was helping out a teacher, and the teacher went over lynching, and none of the kids knew what it meant. None
that's
of them.
crazy.
None of them knew what it meant. And like
That's crazy.
after they left the classroom, the teacher almost she dropped to her knees and almost cried.
Yeah, they lost me. It was explained to me that, and you can vouch for this. Is this true that slavery was being taught in some schools as agricultural work, like not actual slavery?
It wouldn't surprise me. I don't like I've worked the majority of the schools I've worked in have been predominantly black, and like they've had a good representation of black teachers. So
Hmm.
I don't those black teachers
Shout
who
out to
were
that.
uh those black teachers who were teaching history, they didn't let that stuff fly.
Man, yeah, hell no. Shout out to that. Shout out to that. Um, that's what's up though. Carl on the front lines making an impact. So moving along as we get to updates in DC news. Margot Robbie. So we know Suicide Squad just hit. Everybody on this call watched it, I presume.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched it. So just
So
there are going to be spoilers to some extent. So just let y'all know
right.
that way
But
before
before
we
we
talk about it. So
yeah, before we dive into that, because there's a few things, all of this everything here is DC updates, but mostly Batman. So we can start with either Long Halloween or Suicide Squad. But how would y'all feel about Margot Robbie not returning for Harley Quinn?
it wouldn't bother me. Like, yeah, it wouldn't bother me. Just like it didn't bother me that Will Smith wasn't, Rick Flag in this one. Like he wasn't Deadshot. So like, they can replace Will Smith. They can replace Margot Robbie.
They didn't replace Will Smith, however.
But I'm
Deadshot has been left open. Bloodsport is different.
I know, but Bloodshot, Deadshot is Rick Flag. Rick Flag is Deadshot's real name.
I thought they were two different people.
Yeah. Will Smith that's somebody else. That's Rick Slack, I think. You're thinking. Rick Flag is gone.
I know he's.
And I'm only speaking to the rumor that they left initially Idris was cast to play Deadshot, but apparently behind the scenes, Will Smith expressed interest in coming back. So they found another character for Idris to play that way. Basically he's an upgraded Deadshot. He's got better weaponry from what we can see in the movie, better guns, right? But it's still left open for Will Smith to return to reprise that. I don't know how true that is. That's just a rumor I read in an article, but allegedly Margot Robbie in an interview with John Freaking Robot expressed a disinterest in returning to reprise Harley a third time. Feels that it's time to let the character rest. She's a bit exhausted with it, looking to do other things in her career. But at the moment, she still loves the character. Not that she's anti Harley, but I don't know if I could see a replacement Harley. Harley very much was kind of the glue in the first Suicide Squad movie. No.
No, I don't. In the first one, I thought it was Dead. I think Deadshot was the glue in the first one. Like he's the one that really kept the team together. I think Harley was more of a loose cannon that was kind of like kind of like a rogue, one to run off by itself, and their relationship, like he was kind of like reeling everybody in because he had a motive other than getting out of prison, which was his daughter. Everybody else was like, I'm just trying to get out of prison, so if I get the chance, I'm going to run amok. And he really couldn't. So I think it was Deadshot that was the glue in the first one. Like the level-headed one when it needed to be. Because he was the one that got Diablos to like really, use his powers. But
Carl, say you.
The uncomfortable truth is if the if the first Suicide Squad actual movie was a decent / good movie or a great movie, this would be a big deal. But because it wasn't, it's not really that big of a deal. Now, if we'll talk about it a little bit later. I mean, in my opinion, the second one was better or whatnot. But if the first one was a success, and when I say success, I don't mean that the movie's not entertaining. The movie, like the first movie, to give it some credit, it's entertaining. Like there's entertainment, like value in it. But when I say like it's not a good movie, it's not a great movie or whatnot, that means what I mean by that is I wouldn't recommend somebody else go watch it. Like I would say, oh yeah, you you need to see like this Suicide Squad movie or whatnot. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I
that
watch
was
it
a
on my
long,
own.
drawn out way to call it shit, Carl.
hey, you gotta tell the truth. It was like it wasn't.
He said, I wouldn't tell somebody, recommend somebody to go watch it. Like, dang, Carl.
No, I mean,
Go ahead.
the reason for that is, okay, so I see what Will's saying, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying his opinion is wrong. He's entitled to that or whatnot. But what I'm saying is like we've all been there where somebody sees a movie and they tell you, it was like, oh yeah, this movie's great, go see it, and the movie is trash, and you go back to them like, dude, or like the girl, like, what were you thinking? Look, bro, I'm not taking your advice. Like, after you get enough of those, people stop taking your or recommendations on movies or whatnot. So like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm not, saying like the movie is unwatchable. It's just the fact that I'm just not taking it. I'm not taking a chance with my personal reputation with my friends who I care about and say, oh, like, what did you think of the movie or whatnot? Because I mean, I've got close friends, and if they tell me to go see a movie and it's not good, I let them have it. I'm like, what? I mean, that's just me, and they do the same with me, like as they
I'll take
should.
it serious. Okay. All right. I'm not mad at it, brother. I'm not mad at it at all. Honestly, I just can't imagine a replacement just yet because I'm factoring in the animated Suicide Squad movies, knowing the importance of the character of Harley Quinn, and Margot has kind of set a tone that I kind of I've enjoyed what she was doing with the character. In this movie, the Suicide Squad, that's noticeably dialed back just a tinge. She didn't actually have to carry the movie per se because I feel like the first Suicide Squad heavily relied on Will Smith and Margot Robbie's star power, whereas this movie was a little bit more balanced out, better dialogue. But I'll save my take on it when we get to it. Just to wrap up the last of newer updates, I really would like to see her continue to reprise that role, and I hope she comes back around. But I also understand as an artist wanting to branch out and do other things, not get stuck to or committed in. Because same to be said with Hugh Jackman, who recently announced that he doesn't think he'll be returning as Wolverine. There was some talk or rumors that now that X Men are being introduced into the MCU, it might happen, but we can save that for another time. So, further updates: Method Man has launched a comic to Cow World as an NFT. It's going to feature the first original owned crypto blockchain characters. It's going to be releasing comics, merchandise, original music, score stuff like that. Like an interesting take approach. And Meth is a long time comic fan himself with his affiliation with Wu Tang Killer Bees. He's also doing that pod Marvel Method. So looking forward to that. Y'all thoughts there? Because after this, I'm getting to all the Batman stuff. We can go right into the subjects. But any thoughts on Meth's comic?
Are we not talking? Are we not still talking about Suicide Squad?
Nah, there's no. That was Margot Robbie not reprising. To Cow World, we've got a few things with Batman as it pertains to or regards to Batman, but two podcasts launching. Rosario Dawson has been cast as Catwoman for Batman Audio Adventures, which will be coming to HBO Max. Star-studded event here. Jeffrey Wright as Batman. John Leguizamo as the Riddler. This will feature alumni Saturday Night Live cast members. Jason Sudeikis, Seth Meyers, Kenan Thompson. Yay for Kenan Thompson and everything he's been doing since we were kids. This will be based on 60s and 90s Batman takes, the animated series, as well as some of the 60s Adam West. And opposite that, we have M'Baku from Black Panther. He has been cast as Batman. Spotify podcast episode style, Batman Unburied. And this is going to explore the depths of Bruce Wayne's psyche. Any thoughts on that?
What is this? Like, is this an animation?
I don't.
It's there will be some spin-offs included, no doubt, but this is just more stuff coming in DC world. Batman and since Suicide Squad, Long Halloween. And yeah, we can go ahead and pivot and stay on Suicide Squad. How did y'all feel
Well, I
about the newer movie?
well, I want to ask, do you with this movie that came out because it got great ratings from both critics and fans? Does this mean DC slash Warner Brothers is turning a corner with their
No.
movies?
Well, it got great ratings, but then it completely tanked at the box office. And last I checked, that still counts for movies in terms of interest in further producing. Which, no doubt, I feel like they cut their legs out from under them with the direct at home stream. Obviously, Delta variant. There's a lot of factors that play into that.
Yeah,
But I expected better from this movie in general at the box office, having watched it at home. I was glad that I didn't go spend money at the movie theater And not to say it wasn't entertaining, it's an entertaining film. It's not one I would have preferred to spend money at the theater on, but I expected it to do better than it did at the box office draw.
Okay, but if no, after this, I'll let you comment, Bank. Sorry if I didn't give you a chance, but if they automatically release the movie on HBO Max or whatnot, wouldn't that take away from a lot of revenue? At least
That's exactly what I just said, Carl.
I know, but I know you just said that, but you said it didn't do well at the box office, and then you mentioned that. So I mean, so doesn't that make what you said about it didn't do well at the box office irrelevant?
What I was saying is the last part of that, I expected it to do better than it did still, in spite of that. That's the point I was making.
I mean, but how much better though? I mean, if somebody can watch it at home, I mean,
Better
most
than what did it do? 20 million worldwide? Better than that. I did.
no, I thought no, it did 30 million in the
Yeah,
states. And
25. Like better. I expected to do about 40 to 50. Like
I
about the
I
same as Black Widow.
I
Kind of.
don't I know, but I'm saying I think it did more than that worldwide. I think that was just in the states.
We can always check. I mean, I'd like to know just in general. I saw the 25 to 30 million opening weekend, and I honestly expected, like with the star power alone, like Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, John Cena, like
I
come
mean,
on,
I got a
James
question.
Gunn.
I got a
Yeah,
question
go
on
ahead,
that.
Banks.
Does it really matter what it did in the box office if you liked it or not? Like, I think that's
Well,
really
that's I'm speaking to the studio producing another one because I don't know if we'll get a third installment in Suicide Squad with that.
I, mean, I don't think it's gonna be.
Like, and they definitely set up for one. We'll probably get a Peacemaker spinoff if anything, but I don't know if the Suicide Squad franchise is going to survive through this.
If it survived the first one, it can survive this. I think it'll be all right. Especially since, because I mean, like I said, they're making money off HBO. It's not like they're giving it to HBO Max for free. Like they're making money off of that too. So just because it did 30 million the first weekend box office, like it still makes money off on demand in home because of what's going on as far as like COVID. But more importantly, is do y'all think it was good or not? Like regardless of what it did in the box office, like that's
Okay.
neither here nor there. If the
All
movie,
right. So it as far as in the United States, it did 30 million in
26
international
point. Go ahead.
in international like 40 million. So worldwide it did 70 million the first week.
Yeah, I expected a little bit better than that from DC. Just honestly, that's just what I expected because theaters, studios don't. When you get your day, and I don't know how they worked out the streaming thing with Warner, with HBO, whatever, because that's they own that or vice versa. But usually a flop at the box doesn't translate to a continuation. And I know James Gunn coming in, the investment in him coming in was to turn this franchise around and sort of launch a reboot. Um, I'll be honest, might be unpopular. As entertaining as this movie was, it was still very much the same as the first movie for me. Just better, a little bit better dialogue, better
I
balanced
I
characters. But
I
it didn't seem too different. Just more entertaining, like better entertaining, but not spectacular.
I I would have to honestly say I disagree. Like Banks,
who would
um,
disagree.
do you feel like the movie like was purely the same
No,
or
no. The
okay?
first one was. I already know how I feel about the first one. It was garbage, and it wasn't just because of the dialogue. the The premise, the whole premise, and the whole reason they was fighting or what they was fighting made absolute no sense. Like throughout in the second one, in this one, all the way up until the end of the movie, it felt like the power spikes were the same. Like who they were fighting made sense, and even towards the end, the only reason they won the fight won the fight is because the villain or the villain didn't want to fight. It was a peaceful creature that was taken advantage of and mistreated, so it took over, the island after it got out. That was it. Because it could have easily just killed everybody, but it didn't want to. It just
Team of misfit villains snatched out to do what should be espionage gets dragged into scenario that none of them are equipped to handle, and by some plot MacGuffin, win. That's exactly what happened in the first movie.
No, they were
Just the first
equipped
movie was not as well as entertaining as this one. This one was way better. Like
Bruh.
out of 100 on the entertainment level, this was about a 200, and that is the back and forth between Idris and Cena the entire time. The whole scene where they crept up on the rebels, that entire scene, golden. It's just it did a good job of keeping me plugged in. But at the end, when I processed the movie and went back and watched it again, I was like, I didn't feel like it was really that much different.
Bro,
after a second watch.
how are they not equipped to go against some mercenaries?
No, I'm talking about like you said up until the end, like the end villain is Starro. It's like they couldn't really stop that. They wound up because, like you said, it's peaceful. It really didn't want to. It's like, dog, if that had decided to actually fight, like y'all are done. And while this thing is raging and rampaging on the island, wherever you're at, it's on the TV. At this point in the DC EU continuity, the Justice League is like they're out. They're not incapacitated. Nothing's wrong. Where are they while this is happening? Because it's happening. Like, where's Superman? Where's Flash?
Okay.
I mean,
Wonder Woman?
I don't even. That's my. I don't even know if this is a DCEU movie like in the same timeline. That's like this doesn't feel like a continuity movie.
Can I say something real quick?
What's up?
Okay, so I think I think you're missing Banks' point. What Banks is kind of saying is just that, like, and I know this seems like a huge contradiction, but I think what Banks is saying is the biggest difference is like the solution for the Suicide Squad 2 movie seems more realistic. Like
this one is like they're going to fight mercenaries and stop the Russian government or whatever, the South American island. It's somewhere in South America from a military coup. It's 3 military people.
I understand exactly what y'all got to stop explaining. Like, we're all capable and competent on this pod. Like,
But you just said
I'm presenting.
They're not equipped to do.
No, because when we get to Starro, it's like that part. Yeah, the espionage aspects, like from the jump, they were going against the trenches. In the first one, it's like, okay, that's not really like there should be heroes handling this. The mercenary aspects, and mind you, the whole time watching it, we know that they're alluding to Starro. I don't know if y'all knew that, but I was picking up like, okay, I see where this is going. Bigger threat, something intergalactic, like it's gonna be we know that. I know the lead up's coming to that. My thing is Starro at the end was kind of unnecessary. I think it hits better if you leave them on the mercenary track, the coup, all of that. Like that's better suited versus throwing this wrench into the plot that's Starro for really what reason?
What? Hold on. I'm just a little bit lost here. When you say Star, who is that? Starro?
Yeah.
That's the conqueror, the big giant star at the end. That's what his name is.
Okay. I thought that was.
I'm calling Starro the plot MacGuffin. That's what I'm saying. It just seemed really unnecessary.
I thought the villain was the same character. I don't know if you guys remember. Remember when I think it's when Mongo had basically ensnared Superman in the Justice League cartoon and basically had him like a puppet, where he was like that star, like he was underneath that trans from like that star alien thing or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, but the big one was Starro. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
that's when Batman had like the small one, but this one was Starro, which was like putting those starfishes on everybody's face and like taking over their bodies.
Okay,
like straight up, it did it a couple of times too. And it's just like that. What I'm saying, that came out of like the build up to it. It was just an unnecessary plot MacGuffin, and I guess to give them something to show, like, oh, they are the Suicide Squad doing it. Was just I was enjoying everything up to that point. Excuse me.
Well,
but not a bad movie. That's just the one thing I really didn't.
Yeah, I felt it. The two biggest things, like to me, that I felt made the second movie a lot better was I didn't think like the cast from the first movie, even though I think Will Smith was a better main character in general, but I think that the team that was assembled in the first movie, I don't think they actually had the necessarily like powers or strength to beat the villain. I think it was just they just beat the Enchantress just because I don't know, just
Plot MacGuffin.
yeah, just
The
yeah,
scripts.
just because of plot or whatnot. I don't think they actually presented or had
Well, minus
the
Diablo. What about him? Because he's the only character that was equipped to take on Earth.
yes
Like
yes
him, he could have done it himself. And it's just like, what is the point of the rest of y'all? Like, why
yeah
y'all?
like
Yeah,
I I I agree with that. I think most of the lineup or most of the characters that they had available didn't actually have the power to actually defeat like the main villain of Enchantress. Whereas in the second movie, I think they did that they were capable of that. But the second reason I think that the movie was better is just because I think you got to see how ruthless Amanda Waller was and how like cold heart like I mean I think when you basically you basically use like half the team basically as like as you knew that they were gonna die, but she didn't care, and then like she didn't care like how many people died like at that on that island, like all that. I mean, just and she was literally willing to like kill everybody, like on the team, just to.
This is Amanda Waller we're talking about.
I
I think this was the first movie that I seen Viola Davis in that I was like happy, like not rooting for. Like I was like, yo, when she got knocked out, I was like so happy on that part of the movie. 'Cause, like usually when I see Viola Davis in a movie, I'm like, yes, all right, bet. But this one, I was like, man, get her, like somebody like put some tape over her mouth, like she's out of her mind. So yeah, but yeah, she did. I think she did a good job in this role. She definitely seemed like a different character in this movie than she did in the first one. Um, so
You can see the chemistry with the cast as well in this movie, and that's what kind of has me on the fence. Because again, I'm not calling this a bad movie or worse. It's a much better film than the first. But when I do a comparison at them, like they listened to the message boards. They pulled Killer Croc and gave us King Shark. It's the characters the same. Neither of them had a lot to say. Did a lot like only with King Shark we get to see him eat people more. Like they could have let Killer Croc loose like that in the first movie. He really didn't do anything but ask for fucking BET. You know what I'm saying? Which was an obvious stereotype that we also didn't need. But this cast and where I'm perplexed at it on is I don't know if it was a bad movie because it was a bad movie or because Warner Brothers edited the fuck out of it and what we got in theaters was just a shit piece of a movie. Because David Ayers or whatever took to the internet defending his film against all the reviews of the new one, saying, "Look, my version was this and that. That's not my what I intended." But then you see the actors and actresses on this new film who returned saying that one thing they enjoyed about making this film more than the first was a director who's got a vision and the creativity and the chemistry. So
and I
I
can
think
agree with that because the first one did not have any vision. It was like, hey, there's some supervillains versus a big supervillain, and I don't really know how y'all gonna beat them, but just go fight them, and then at the end y'all will win. Because let's be honest, um, about 30 or 40, I give them 50, about 40 or 50 of them little zombie things in the first movie. If all they got to do is touch you and you turn into a zombie, Suicide Squad would have died in the first 10 minutes. There's nothing. They have absolutely no psychic ability, no laser beams out the eyes, none of that to keep people away from them. They can't fly, none of that stuff. So
yeah, when did Harley become an assassin?
I don't know.
Like, cause in this movie, she was fighting like, and maybe I need to brush up on my Harley Quinn allure, but I don't recall. I know she's got some hands, but I don't recall her being like League of Assassins capable. But she was getting off.
Yeah, she was
yeah
getting off, especially
I,
in that hallway.
I'll say this. I think the director from Guardians of the Galaxy. I
James
think
Gunn.
I think he was great at bringing some comedy to the movie, more comedy than the first movie, and I think in my opinion I believe he brought a lot more to the comics more so than like the first movie. Um like Amanda Waller's always usually got someone on the squad that's got like an alternate agenda compared to like everybody else. Like they usually have someone else on the team that's got something planned that they're not really like thinking of. And um and um John Cena's character really took that over. That I thought that was pretty cool. And
Was that not kind of predictable?
well, I'm not saying it was predictable. I'm saying in the first movie it didn't happen, and
Yeah, she didn't have an
it
ace in
No,
the hole
Rick
in the
Rick
first movie.
Flag was supposed to be. He was compromised in the first movie. He was supposed to be the her what you call it, but he got compromised.
what?
I know, but once he got compromised, what was the ace in the hole for them not to do anything?
I
Well,
don't
she
think
had the heart. She had the there was no ace in the hole for the team. She just had the heart. She had a fail safe for that. But Rick was supposed to be. He was working a different angle before the Enchantress got a hold of his whatever. He was doing some shit.
well I think well no I think Rick- um
He had a side mission in that before, but he got compromised in the process, and that's why she.
I don't think he had a side mission. I think his mission was the same from the jump in the
I have to go
first
back
movie.
and rewatch, but I want to say that there was something that he was also up to equally, but once he became compromised, that was out the bag. So she had the.
No, and I think in the first movie, his
Yeah, don't
the
quote me on that because I had to fact check myself on that one.
I think in the first movie the overall general deal was just to get Amanda Waller like out of the certain area and get him to another area.
That became the mission. No,
Yeah, that was
I don't.
that was the only mission until he
Yeah,
got
I don't
caught.
remember him doing anything else other than like recruiting and trying to stop Enchantress. Like I don't remember him doing anything else, like double crossing anybody, anything like that.
Yeah. In the second movie, Cena's character was the only person who whose mission was to destroy that information so
Yeah.
nobody would know what would happen on that island. Everybody else didn't know.
it's only giving me stuff about the new Suicide Squad. I would say I'm going to go back and watch that, but I'm not. I'm not. How
But
do we feel
anime,
about the opening scene?
I think it was well done. I thought it was definitely a left turn because I thought that was gonna be like a flashback, not a flashback. I thought that was gonna be a point to a flashback, but it was like, oh yeah, this really happened, and it's a diversion type deal. But I thought I was gonna do one of those.
Yo,
This
is
happened, huh?
is TDK not the stupidest power you've seen? Like, what was he supposed to do?
Dude, no, I'm gonna tell you the stupidest power, the weasel that was eating kids. Like, why would you
Yeah,
send
the
him?
weasel didn't.
Why would you send him? He can't do nothing. He just eat people. Like he's a small, like he's a weasel, just a big weasel.
He had no place in like. What was he? That's a good question. What was the weasel supposed to do?
Yeah,
That whole group was a diversion.
yeah.
I mean, but even with that said, like, bruh detached his arms and then went and started slapboxing. Yo, he was slapboxing the
No,
soldiers,
bro.
bruh.
No, what was funny though when they was like letting loose on his arms and he was like 60 yards away just screaming.
Yo, they
But
shot my man's arms up, dog.
yeah, and he could feel it. But yeah, that was funny. That was funny. That was a genuine funny moment of the movie. It was a couple of genuine funny moments of the movie that didn't feel like super forced and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I just just an overall better movie than the first one. I didn't.
That much is for sure.
But to answer your question, Carl, I don't necessarily think this is a turning point for DC just because of one good movie, just because the DCEU timeline is completely different from Suicide Squad as far as like continuity. You can't. I don't think you can take that movie and throw it into current DCEU movies like Justice League and stuff like that, and then try to tie it in together. They feel like it feels like a standalone movie.
Wait, is that? Are you talking about just this movie or both of them? Because
Well,
Suicide
just for this,
Squad one set the tone. Like Batman is in that.
I'm saying just for this one, it feels like
Okay, so this okay.
yeah, this one just feels like a standalone movie, kind of like the Joker movie that came out with Joaquin Phoenix. Like that's not DCEU timeline as far as like Justice League, Batman vs Superman, stuff like that. Because that was a DC movie. It was good, but it's not in line with these other movies. So it's like they making these. I think DC's making these one-off movies that are good, but when they try to, do it like when they try to mimic the 13 years that Marvel put in before, Civil War and Endgame and all this stuff, they trying to do that. They're not doing a good job. But with these standalone, just making good movies and not trying to mimic what somebody else is doing, I think they're doing a good job. But when they're trying to mimic and rush,
They didn't mimic Marvel with this movie because they mimic Marvel even down to getting a Marvel director.
Well, I'm talking about the whole how
and
every
cut
movie has
scenes.
every movie has to have some kind of continuity to the last one. I think when the DCEU timeline, I think they rushed it too much, which caused it to be so bad. Rushing to get these, not putting in the time to set up stuff properly, which is what made the DCEU movies not good to me, because I was like, well, because of this can't be right, and this isn't right, and this isn't right. It's because they try to push everything into a few movies instead of doing the long game like Marvel
They went for a
did.
cash grab.
Yeah, and so like instead of doing the long game like Marvel did along, in what year did Captain America, whatever year Captain America came out,
2008 Iron Man
yeah,
kicked off the MCU.
yeah, up until all the way up until Infinity War, Endgame. So putting all that time and into these movies and all that thought into these movies and how they're going to go together. I think DC, when they're doing these one-off movies, they're just focusing on making a good movie instead of focusing on how does this tie into the next 5 movies we have that we're rushing. So with these, I don't think it's turning a corner for DCEU, but they can continue to make good movies and I'll go watch them, because like I don't really care if they have continuity if they're good. Batman trilogy, Dark Knight trilogy, they didn't have nothing to do with what's going on right now, but those are still some of my favorite movies.
I feel like no, it's not a pivot. But DC said that they say it's not about the continuity, then try to tie it in if it's successful. Like that's what they got off on the wrong foot with establishing the DCEU with the first version of Suicide Squad, saying it's not a part of or supposed to establish any type of extended universe. Then say, oh yeah, well it is. And then after the massive, kind of not being where we say, well, okay, maybe it's not. And then relying on the CW shows to establish some sort of multiverse. I'm still gonna watch DC movies if they put them out.
Yeah, me too.
But I've given up on any type of hope of the DCEU being whatever it could have been. Certain movies I'm gonna go see just off the sheer strength. Certain movies probably won't. I can make that call. Yeah, so we'll just have to see what they roll out with. But I wouldn't say it's a turning point or pivot. I don't get as excited about anything in theaters for DC as I once did.
Yeah. But if they make a John Lennon Green Lantern movie, I'm buying my ticket as soon as they announce it.
Yeah, I'll go see that. I'll go see a Flash movie.
Yeah. It just
I'll go see Aquaman too. Shit. We're gonna go see Wonder
I'm
Woman
not going
3.
to see that shit.
I'll go see Aquaman too. Because Aquaman 1 wasn't bad. Oh, you didn't like Aquaman?
They copied Black Panther.
I mean, and like Atlantis, Wakanda, like what we all expecting?
No, I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad that they copied it, but I mean, when you copy something, it's not going to be better than the original. So
DC Suicide Squad just did a copy Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy. Like what? Like that's
regardless if they
They're
copied it or
ripping
not,
Marvel with this new launch. Like we just talked about a movie that ripped off Marvel. Like
I know.
even down to the director and cut.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not smart. It's actually very smart. But I'm just thinking out loud.
I think he just threw that out there. But regardless if they copied it or not, it wasn't good. Like,
It was one of the better DC movies in my opinion.
yeah, that's not saying a lot, bro.
Like it was a lot. I'll tell you what, it was better than I expected it to be for Aquaman. Like I had low expectations for Aquaman, and that did better than I expected. But um, any other takeaways from the Suicide Squad
No,
other than
that's
the
it.
obvious Peacemaker spinoff that is coming?
Um,
There's a cut scene at the end. You guys who haven't seen it probably want to wait, watch
Spoiler
that.
alert.
I've seen it, but no, I don't have too much to ask. I thought most people did a good job in the movie. Let's move on to Batman: The Long Halloween.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all heard it. First and foremost, R.I.P. to Naya Rivera. This was one of her last roles. She did the voice of Catwoman, the Glee star. She passed away in an unfortunate event last year. But she did do the role of Catwoman in this. John Duhamel as Two Face, Jared Ackles as Batman, and David
Now, it's
Chain as Calendar Man. Dig this fun fact: the guy who did the voice for Calendar Man also is Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad.
did you say
What?
Duhamel? Or
John
Josh Duhamel?
Duhamel, Josh Duhamel,
I don't think that's how you
John
pronounce.
Duhamel,
I don't think that's how you pronounce his name. Hold on.
Josh Duhamel. Yeah,
Bruh,
That's the guy from
come on, Gary.
Transformers, isn't it?
no, he did the voice for. Oh yeah.
Josh Duhamel.
Demel.
Hold
Okay,
on.
well Demel, Josh Demel. Yeah, best spectacular job on Two Face.
So, what did you guys think of the movie? Banks, what did
Well,
you think?
for our audience, so we're talking about the Long Halloween Part 1 and 2. This was originally a 13 issue limited series that came out, ran in 96, 97, written by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. This was inspired by the 3 Batman Legends of the Dark Knight Halloween specials. And the success of this begat 2 sequels, Batman Dark Victory and Catwoman When in Rome. Continuity wise, this is an unofficial follow up to Batman Year One. And this is actually the accepted origin story for Two Face. So you've seen this pulled from and referenced a lot through most of Batman pop culture. Banks.
I ain't gonna lie. Like this was really good. Number one, I really liked the animation. Like it was super clean animation. Like it wasn't like not too blocky, not too stylistic. It kind of looked more, even though it's animation. The lighting looked realistic. The facial features look realistic. So it wasn't like super stylized, which I really liked. And then also just I think they did a really good job of just like telling a good story instead of focusing on like superpowers and stuff like that. It really got down to what Batman is as a hero, and he really just he don't have no superpowers, but he can fight way better than the people that he's fighting, and he figures out stuff way quicker than other people because it's a detective. It's a crime. It's a pretty much a crime story. So they wrote it like a TV drama instead of a superhero, pew pew lasers type thing. It's really story driven, character driven, and it made for a really good really good movie. Like just like the characters in there, like we was talking, you said Calendar Man, and just like the small part Calendar Man had in the first part was like one of my favorite parts, cause like he's been in jail all this time, but he already knows what's going on by putting small pieces together, and just like the way he kind of talks like the Riddler, like he kind of talks in riddles, but just he was one of my favorite characters in like the first part of that movie. So I think it was really well written. tongue twister. Really well written, and then like
Say that 5 times fast.
yeah, well animated. You know, just not over the top with anything. Not something that's not too super unbelievable. Uh, yeah, I think it was just solid all the way around.
What'd you think, Carl?
I think, in my honest and humble opinion, from watching this, Two Face is a better villain than the Joker. Now, let me say this again. Two Face is a better villain than the Joker. And why I say this is because you identify more so with Two Face than the Joker. Essentially, in that Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, that should have been more so Two Face than the Joker, because that movie was revolved around like mental health issues. And for those of you who don't know, in the comic books, the Joker is just a regular person that just makes a few bad decisions. He's not somebody struggling with mental health, but you see that Two Face is basically someone that's struggling with mental health issues. And and all it takes is all it takes is for these mental health issues and something bad to happen to him, and he just gives into the mental health problems. And then and then he basically decides, you know what, there's really no difference between like good and evil. And what you see with him in the movie is he's able to inspire he's able to lead and inspire like other villains to follow along with what his motives are. And I mean, not just to go off on a tangent, but he's basically saying like, listen, good and evil, there's not too much difference. There's not too much difference to it. And basically, I'll leave it to chance. And whether you live, die, or let you go, whatever, I'll leave it to chance. And whatever happens, whatever the coin lands on, even if you're good or bad, I'll let you go.
Isn't it
And
well?
You know
I,
that's a lie, Carl.
huh?
In the
No, that's a
beginning,
lie.
it's a two-sided
What?
coin. He don't. He
It's a
doesn't.
double. It's a two-headed coin. He's gonna kill them regardless. It's a lie.
I know like I know like in the in the movie in the movie, like, you find out it's a double sided coin, but like later on, like one and a half is like scratched out.
No, but the point is, Two Face. Nobody ever lives. It's heads for like one side indicates tails, but he's the side he kills them anyway. Like
Yeah,
heads is on both sides.
he'll flip it
People don't
again.
survive that. It's a false promise of hope when he flips the coin, but regardless whether you get the
But
scratch side or the head side, he's gonna
no,
kill
but
them.
in the movie, he didn't like he let Calendar Man stay in Arkham.
He was locked up.
They
He's
were
like
all locked up.
no, but you notice Two Face doesn't kill other criminals like that unless they cross him. Like he has no reason to. You know what I'm
No,
saying? Like
I'm
that's
saying like
with his victims, he's gonna kill them anyway. Like there's no benefit to killing Calendar Man. Like he just left him there. But when it comes
no
to the flip of the coin, live or die, when he gives people the choice, it's a gimmick. He's gonna murder them anyway, regardless.
no,
It's a
but
false hope.
okay, but in the movie, didn't he flip a coin whether or not to break people out of prison?
We don't actually see that.
Well, why wouldn't? Okay, but I know we don't actually. But why would he like break everybody else out, but leave Calendar Man inside?
Mm.
I don't think it's that significant of a point in the plot, honestly. But I mean, the point is, be that as it may, that doesn't change when he's dealing with his victims. The coin flip is completely, he's gonna kill them. That's the gimmick. It's sort of the same in Nolan's take on the Dark Knight trilogy. Bane hints to that. It's sort of a callback in Dark Knight Rises when he says, "I will poison them with false hope," because in a sense, and that origin story for Two Face pulls a lot from this. They obviously changed some things around for the movie, but a lot of that story pulls from the transition of Harvey Dent to Two Face. That came from this, the animated series. All of these, they pull from. They just kind of twitch some things, but it's sort of a callback to that. Like that flipping the coin thing is really just that's his gimmick, you know. That's neither here nor there, but it's just when he's dealing with his victims, he's decided he's going to kill them. The coin flip is just it's a part of the shtick. but you're gonna die if Two-Face is flipping the coin, giving you a chance. Like, nah, you're dead.
I know
In Arkham, he split somebody in half off the coin flip. One of them Arkham games, he opened up and probably heads or tails, but it was either you get split in half or dumped in the acid. There was no win in that.
Yeah, and also because like I know this is a different thing, but also in Dark Knight trilogy from the movie, when he flips the coin in the car and it lands on tails to not die, he says, "Okay, let's flip it again." So I think he does that to give people, like you said, a false sense of hope.
It's a false sense of
Like
hope.
something's gonna change, but it's like he's telling you he's leaving it up to fate, but he's really in control of your fate. Because if he wants to, he'll just flip the coin again. He'll do whatever he wants to do. And I think that's the villain side of him. And I think the good side of him is telling him to flip the coin and leave it up to fate. But really, his bad side knows that he's going to do what he wants to do. And I think that's
So
the whole duality of the character.
Yeah, that's another one thing I liked about this, because I enjoy. First off, this is just proof that as long as DC sticks to Batman, I don't know if they'll ever lose because they can always, when the going gets rough, they can reach into the Batman crate and find a story and find something that's just like, yeah, let's just do this and people are gonna love it.
Also, I gotta say, Batman's a trash.
Damn, could I finish making my point though?
Hold on, what?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of making a point about why I liked it. Like, is that okay? Can I finish what I was saying?
I thought you. My bad.
Nah, I was just getting to my point, but thank you. I don't know if I'll say Two-Face is a better villain than the Joker because I like to factor in the grand scheme. Death of the Family. That's the story where Joker cut his face off and then restitched it back on and put on an entire elaborate ruse to lead Batman back to Arkham, where he walks into the cafeteria and finds a mural of him and Joker's greatest battles made out of dead bodies that Joker made Penguin and Two-Face hang up. Every villain in the Batman universe fears Joker the most because he is obscure purposely, unexplained. He was a regular schmo guy, had a family struggling to make it in one bad day. A series of events happened. He made a poor choice and he cracked. And I think that feeds into the allure of, that really not knowing what exactly is wrong with Joker. Whereas in this, they did a good job, if you pay attention closely, at illustrating that Harvey was suffering from some schizophrenia long before the acid splash.
Yeah, but
the acid splash was kind of just the breaking, I think, what sent him over. But he had been dealing with, and if you read the series, I went, had to go find a trade. If you read the original comics, there's little nuances and hints that he's been dealing with some, instability up there for a while before he gets to that breaking.
I agree with you saying. I wouldn't say the Joker cracked. I'd say he fell into a bladder acid. But
well, as explained in his as a result of that was his push point. That's what sent him over the edge. After that, when he crawled out and took off the Red Hood gimmick and just put his hands over his head and started laughing uncontrollably, that's when he made the full transition into nihilism, because the Joker is the ultimate extreme idea of a nihilist.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, I think he'd still be a regular guy if he didn't fall into a vat of acid. Two-Face would have been hit like himself, like you said, because he was actually struggling with mental health issues.
No, the acid thing fractured his psyche. That is listed in his allure. The splash with the acid literally fractured his psyche, and even in Beyond Repair, I don't think he'd be a regular guy without that. Like that, I think he's treatable without the acid thing, because in the Dark Knight, which follows later down, the Dark Knight Part 1 and Part 2, even after he's had reconstructive surgery, he's still very much broken up there.
You're talking about Two-Face?
Yeah, I'm talking about Two-Face. So I think the acid thing hits different. I don't think he becomes Two-Face without the acid splash.
I do.
That's kind of the point.
I do.
Well, how do you become Two-Face if you don't get splashed?
Because, like you said, he was a schizophrenic.
No, you're arguing against the characters written. It's already there.
I know, but I'm saying, like, I don't.
That's the point. I know, but it's already written. I know, but this is his character, dude.
Yeah,
without the acid, he's not Two-Face. He's Harvey Dent.
he would have still been a schizophrenic though. Like the acid or regardless.
He doesn't become a criminal. You
Mm,
realize there was a whole sequence of events involved there with that acid splash and the mob that were catalysts. Like you're a writer, rewrite Two Face. I want to see your take on Two Face. You could do that.
No, I
You
I
could.
think I think the biggest difference between Two Face and the Joker is the Joker falling into that acid back actually created him. Whether regardless, this is just my opinion. Regardless of Two Face getting his face like sprayed with acid, he would have still been that evil character or whatnot. Just because, like you said, he was struggling with mental health issues or whatnot, and
What makes
he
him
was
become evil without that? What makes him crack?
what makes him crack because
Yeah.
because he's like we all established he's got mental health issues. He's not doing anything about it, and then like the line of work is the line of work that he's doing is very stressful. So he's trying to put away these bad guys or whatnot, and it's not working. And and like I mean, if you're hearing voices or whatnot, and you're not doing anything about it, and or what, and you're not treating, you're not seeking any type of help or whatnot. Well, I mean, long story short, you're eventually gonna crack.
So he just automatically becomes a supervillain because of his schizophrenia without anything. Because as the story is told, if him and Jim and Bats are able to continue working and do the things that they were doing with Harvey being the White Knight, Batman is supposed to be able to no longer have to be Batman because Gotham finally has an incorruptible politician or district attorney who can prosecute and take down the mob. See, the plan is if Harvey can stand up and be the guy that we need him to be and arrest the mob, the streets should be clean. That doesn't happen because of the acid splash. Harvey psyche is fractured and he decides to be a criminal instead. A super because this is also the significance of the story. This marks the turn in Batman's career as a crime fighter to where he goes from dealing with petty mob criminals and petty crooks to actual supervillains. This is that turning point. So without the acid splash, what he breaks down, sure, but he gets help. Like if they at some point peep that Harvey seems unfit, if he's not able to perform in court, I mean that stuff comes out. I don't see a catalyst happening that's going to trigger him to just become a supervillain. Honestly, I see him just becoming a guy who gets help and ends up taking meds or what whatever the treatment is going to be for schizophrenia. I don't know.
Uh, I still see him as a super, still see him as being a super villain because he's not getting the help.
So everybody with mental health issues is just destined to become supervillains.
No, they're not. But I think his character is.
So without the nothing, he just up decides one day he's going to be a supervillain. Harvey Dent. That'd be an interesting take.
Yeah, because I mean, getting 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 your face getting your face damaged because of acid, I don't think it makes you more volatile or more more prone to schizophrenia than
You're
you
not
know.
considering any post-traumatic stress of dealing with that type of trauma, like a direct acid splash to the face.
No, because you can get plastic surgery.
Okay, that's an interesting take, Carl. Very interesting. What else did we pick up from the long Halloween? I'm not gonna. I would leave that. I've never
Uh,
been splashed in the face with acid, so I'm not gonna tell people who may have stuff with that how they how they should
Banks,
respond.
Banks, where you have to? Did you get anything?
Yeah, it's Batman's fault that all these criminals are running around. That's what I
Say
took
what?
from it. It's Batman's
Yes.
fault. It's Batman's fault that all these super villains are running around.
Absolutely.
That's
His presence invites the challenge.
yeah.
Well, not just that. Not just that. This I gotta point out, Batman is a crappy detective in these movies. He is a
Yeah.
horrible detective.
He's just like beating the information out of people. But
They
yeah, I
do
think
highlight that in the comic that this is very much early in his career. This directly follows year one. So there's even a point in this movie where he points out, bitching to Alfred, that he thought this would just be about sweeping criminals up off the street. At this point in Batman's career, he is not a detective. He gets clowned by the Joker, by Calendar Man. Throughout the movie, he makes accusations on who he thinks could be, and each time he's shot down, it's like, you dumbass. So yeah, at this point in his career, he is not the world's greatest detective. He is very much just a rich dude in a bat suit running around picking up, doing vigilante justice.
And he's getting his tail handed to him by a couple of these guys too.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
I was just saying that like his presence invites them because they see that when you see somebody out here doing vigilante stuff, if you on that type of time too, you're gonna look at that as well. If he can do that, I can do what I want to do. So people just be out here doing what they want to do because they see some dude out here in a bat costume beating up petty criminals. So people.
In fact, y'all, I don't know if y'all connected the dots, but in the midst of that, that's also part of the reason why the mob, like that, there's some dialogue between Sophia and Carla, all that. The mob, okay, so we know what happens, how Joker falls into the acid. The mafia puts him up to that. At this point in Batman's career, the mob is relying too much on the Joker to counteract Batman. Like that is happening in the background. Even though this story doesn't highlight that, but I did some reading and checking out, connecting some dots. But in the terms of continuity, everything that we see happening in Nolan's version when he introduces this, like in that like Dent and them are working to not only take down the mob, but they're starting to notice little pop-ups here and there of little, would-be eventual arch nemesis of Batman. So in a sense, Batman's presence is directly responsible for not only the creation of the Joker, but all of these characters. And hence, I think that's why we get that framework where they kind of do unite when they launch their assault on Carmine to take down the mob.
I got a random question.
What's up?
Random question. Why in the world is Falcone's daughter shaped like a middle linebacker in this movie?
Yeah,
Like,
she was tall. Like she was shaped like Falcone.
she was shaped like a brick.
Yeah.
Like
my wife asked me, is that his daughter? And I was like, I was like, yeah.
I thought she was gonna sock Solomon Grundy.
I honestly thought she was going.
Imagine she'd have ran up and gave him a knuckle sandwich, bro.
I was thinking she was gonna have some kind of like powers at the end, but hey, she didn't. She was just
That's okay. Here's another random question: why hasn't Poison Ivy taken over Gotham City?
Why hasn't anybody taken over Gotham?
I mean, but particularly with Poison Ivy, when we think about her powers, what she can do, literally in a night, she could have the entire city under nature. Like she could just do it.
Yeah.
Like,
she's just not good at hand-to-hand combat. That's it.
The same thing with Mr. Freeze. It's like, bro, I could literally turn this place into a frozen tundra.
That's what I'm saying. It's like with the powers some of them got, it's like, was Bane the only one with the actual gall to like, nah, I can fix this bat. I'm gonna break his back, bro. Like, what are the rest of y'all doing?
Yeah. I think the rest of them be just like overthinking stuff. Like it has to be the problem because like, no offense to Batman, he's one of my favorite DC, favorite DC characters. But it's like, he's just rich. Like if you got actual powers, just use them.
You should be able to wax Batman. Yeah, any villain with powers should be able to wash Batman.
So like Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, Solomon Grundy. They spill.
Killer Croc. Well, who else? Batman's got a few others out there. Instead, he gets rinsed by the Joker, who has no hand-to-hand combat skills. Just some knives and a couple of drums of oil.
And he be out here just going.
He be consistently getting rinsed by that guy who never actually even has a plan. But I'll argue the Joker is probably one of the most sane characters in the Batman universe. Mad, absolutely, but insane to a point so much that it's almost borderline genius how he contracts some of his elaborate schemes for Batman.
How does
the
the Joker be Batman with just knives? I just don't get it.
It was never just the knives. That's what we see on the surface, but it's always so much. Joker is really good at, because of his type of psychosis, he's obsessive compulsive. he fixates on the things that he knows makes Batman tick. And in this story, I don't know if he's aware. At some point, we get hints that Joker figured out who Batman is. But in this story, we absolutely know that Catwoman knows who Batman is. Correct?
Yeah.
No,
Didn't she call that out at some point?
Yeah.
well, I guess I'll move on from it.
Well, the point I was making with that is Joker has cited to Batman numerous times because of like that whole "you're crazy just like I'm crazy," which we do know Batman is a psychopath. Not to be confused, he's batshit crazy, quite literally. But Joker picks on that because he, I guess, to some extent understands that, so he fixates on kind of things that he knows are going to make Batman tick, and that's what it is that he's always using against Batman. In addition to just some knives and some drums of oil and some bombs.
Whatever. Batman shouldn't be losing to the Joker. I'm just saying.
He shouldn't. He shouldn't.
Here's the real question: why didn't Batman just wife Catwoman? I mean, why not? Bro,
Why so?
why so? Bro, every superhero it doesn't matter what it is, they all go through the same thing. Like they keep secret from love interest. It messes up with the relationship. She already knows who he is, bro. He might as well just propose, bro. I mean, they fit.
Yo, have you seen the amount of box Batman gets, and you want him to cuff Catwoman?
The amount of box he gets. Like who?
Bruce Wayne be smashing, dude. What are you talking about?
Who are
You
his
want him to
love-
cuff Catwoman?
Who are his love interests? Like who are his love? I'm pretty sure you can probably name them on one hand.
It don't matter. Bruce Wayne be popping up around Gotham with ballerinas, Playboy. Like Bruce
Yeah,
Wayne
but
is
he ain't
action,
hit,
dude.
he's
What are
not
you
hitting
talking
all
about?
of it. That's just for show.
Right.
Just to keep him.
Okay, Carl.
Thanks. What do you think?
Are y'all really sitting there talking about fictional Batman box?
He said cuff Cat. All she does is play cat and mouse with him, literally. What? He's supposed to cuff her and he got to chase her for real across route? What?
Not. He's not. He's not chasing. I wouldn't
Go
call
from
it
boxing
chasing
to
girl,
boxing.
wouldn't that?
Yo, he a billionaire, Carl. What are you talking about, bro?
Bro, he's a billionaire who's fighting crime. How many billionaires you know spend their nights on
Why
rooftops?
is he wifing Catwoman?
Huh?
Why is he wifing Catwoman?
Why is he wifing Catwoman? Because he's Batman and he's fighting crime or whatnot. She's the perfect person to be alongside him for to back him up for whatever he's doing.
She's a kleptomaniac and he stands for justice. She can't stop stealing, Carl. Like, what?
She wouldn't have to steal.
She does anyway.
No, I'm saying if she was with Batman, she wouldn't have to steal anything.
She still would because she does for the thrill. Yo, Carl, that's a wild take, G. Yo, bat and cats, man. Billionaire Bruce Wayne, wife of Catwoman. Don't they eventually? I mean, just saying, like we know he gets Barbara Gordon at some point. Talia, Ra's al Ghul. I wonder if we can Batman love interest.
That Barbara thing was just like a fling. That's not.
It don't matter. It happened. Like Bruce Wayne is out here getting yams.
I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it's nothing like that. Was like maybe once or twice.
Julia Pennyworth, look, hit his butler's niece. Jezebel Jet, incredibly rich. Also, Pamela Isley. Oh, Poison Ivy. You had her at one point. Poison Ivy is dope. Vicky Vale. Forgot about her. That was Batman 1. Silver St. Cloud, Sasha Bordeaux, Wonder Woman. You wifing Catwoman over Wonder Woman? No,
Wonder Woman is not
Zatanna. Batman has Zatanna. No, bro. No. Talia al Ghul. Yeah, I mean, Catwoman is nice on the list, but like,
bro, you talking about you can't trust Catwoman. You definitely can't trust Talia.
There was a number of regular women on that list too, who were just other. Like I'm just saying, Carl. Batman got.
But options. I'm saying, but most of those regular women, they can't understand Batman and what he does, though.
Why would they know? You assume
You have
see,
to know, bro.
that's the one thing about
You
no.
got
So
you.
no.
It's the
Let me
relationship is
clarify
not
this.
gonna
Hold on. Let
last.
me
They
clarify
don't
this.
know.
Let me clarify this. They changed that for this movie. In the comic book, Selena Kyle does not know Batman's identity. They changed that for this animated production only, but in the original, which still holds up as canon, she does not know his identity.
I know, but I'm saying when she finally does, bruh, it's not, bruh. They should just call. Hey, quit playing around. Just end up together, bruh. They fit. They both got psychological issues, bruh. They fit. They both wear suits, go out at night, do stuff. They fit.
Yeah, I seen Batman pull up in a Lambo, so fuck what you talking about, bro. I don't know nothing about that. It's a hot boy summer in Gotham City wherever Batman's out, bro. Bruce Wayne is in these streets. Did you catch the little hint that Catwoman might be Carmine Falcone's daughter?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, she's not, but I like that they included the nod to that is a direct nod to Catwoman winning Rome, the sequel that followed this. Um, her parents are pretty much canon. Maria committed suicide. Her dad, eventually named Brian, drank himself to death. But throughout this story run, there was enough nuances, sort of a build up to suggest. And in When in Rome, we actually find out that it's left open. She knows, she determines some information, but it's not enough to confirm or deny. So it's kind of left open, and the writers did that purposely in case it ever is retconned into her official origin. The big reason for avoiding that is because Huntress is already a big mafioso daughter. So a lot of what could have been done with those angles and stories been done. But I wouldn't mind a Catwoman retcon change to her origin. What do y'all
I'm not a
think?
big fan. I'm not a big fan of retcons, dude. I,
Well, as long as it's not what was in that one movie that came out some time ago,
I'm not a fan of retcons.
the one where she was playing basketball.
Yeah, it's just because like retcons just like granted you got people that's been reading these books since like they were kids and they like 70 years old now. So like you change the origin story for somebody who's been a fan for so long, and then try to Mod Podge it into all that history. He was like, well, that's what the bad writing starts coming in because you start mixing stuff up, and then it doesn't coincide with like what you already have laid down because you tried to retcon something 20 years later. So I'm not a big fan of retconning. I think if you really want to, if it's really to the point where you have to retcon a character's story, you probably just make a new character and just start from there instead of trying to tie a popular character's name to a new story that you have to retcon because it's just gonna get worse from that point. That's just my take on it. If you don't agree with it, that's fine, but that's what I believe.
See, Tom, what about you?
Um, whatever you guys say is cool with me.
What on retconning?
What?
I was asking about the retconning aspect. Like what you thought
Um,
about that.
I don't. I don't really know what to say. That's why I was just like, whatever you guys say, that's cool with me.
Banks, as I understand it, is what's on the classics not still considered canon, and then everything in terms of main story now is just picking up from the New 52 reboot.
I don't know, cause like the way I look at the New 52 is just a bunch of retconning. Like,
Well, they established a multiverse kind of thing, so it's like
yeah, but that's a
with all this
retcon.
stuff, like if it's different Earths, like
Yeah, but like
that's fine, but that doesn't change or take away from the main stories and the main characters we know in our main DC universe. Like that stuff is all like most of the classic stuff is still canon, as I understand it, and then everything from New 52 is just
instead of creating a New 52, what they should have just did is made a New 52 and then just made new characters and gave those characters those stories instead of giving Wonder Woman some powers all of a sudden, even though she's been around for like 20 years and doesn't have powers, and then all of a sudden.
I actually didn't mind the one. Like I think that was she was overdue for that. It was about time, like an invisible jet.
But that's what I'm saying. So how do you get rid of the Invisible Jet when there's 20 years of Invisible Jet? 20 years of Invisible Jet. 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 20
easy
What
just
you,
be like that was trash, like the same way they did it, because it was.
but
The
that's what
thing
I'm saying.
was that written to honestly give Wonder Woman a shot, or was that to put her in a position where she's not as powerful as the boys? Because for all
No,
intents and purposes, Wonder Woman should have. I mean, she's a practically a Greek god. Like the super strength and ability to fly, all that makes sense.
she
Getting rid of that
wasn't,
invisible.
but she wasn't always a Greek god. She was just an Amazonian. She was just a warrior, and that's what I'm saying. With retconning, you have 20 years
She
of
sprung from the forehead of Zeus, didn't she?
yeah. In
The
the new
same way.
50, in the new 52, that's how she got her powers by taking it from by she was given
Hmm.
those powers from gods. But originally she was an Amazonian, which is why she only had the the bangles and the jet.
Her old skill set was not that spectacular. Lasso lightning, lasso truth.
Yeah, she didn't have it like
She has some strength. But
a lot of the old DC characters. The new 52 was to bring them on par with superheroes of Marvel, which were like shooting laser beams out their eyes and shit like that. So like when you do new 52, that's just a bunch of retconning to, you know, you retcon their backstory, but you've been out 10, 12 years already. We know your backstory. So when you do stuff like that, instead of just building a new character, they try to take something that's popular and build onto that by retconning their backstory, and it just messes up. Cause like when I talk to people about like why I don't like XYZ characters, and I tell them something and they don't know about it, it's because they don't read. They only read from a certain point, and not knowing that these characters have a lot of story that goes well, way beyond that. So when you tell people that, oh, Wonder Woman don't got no powers, they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Yes, she do. She got this. She got that. I'm like, no, no. She used to fly around in an invisible jet. And they be like, what? Like, yeah, she used to fly around in an invisible
But
jet.
like, fam, you could see her. Like, it didn't make. They had to do something with that because you could literally see her in the jet. Like, she wasn't
Well,
invisible with the jet.
no, she wasn't invisible, but her jet was. So she's like a flying torso because you can't see the jet. So all you can see is her head and her arms like sitting up there like this. And she's flying around in this jet, and she has this lasso that makes people tell the truth. Granted, she still has those, but she don't have the jet because they just made her fly. But granted, she still has the lasso, but you still retcon and change 12 years of story because of what you don't like. And I don't like retconning because
Vaughn hates the con.
yeah, I don't like retconning. And that's not just for DC. That's for a lot of stuff. Um, so I think if you have a story built up, if you have a story built up, I think instead of retconning their origin story, you should just focus on you know.
I mean, but granted, not everything is a retcon. Like this Long Halloween 1 and 2, this animated they sought to bring, like, they did tweak some things from the comic to the bringing this to an animated film, but that was mostly to add more depth where they thought there was some a little bit of a obscurity or ambiguity in the original. Like not necessarily a retcon, but mind you, we've had elements of this story referenced throughout many different interpretations of Batman, and now it's finally to just have a nice, concise, like, yeah, this was the actual origin of Two Face. Like this is how it went down, what happened with it.
I
But
mean, I get that. I'm talking. You just asked me how I feel about retcons, and it's like I don't particularly care for retcons. Not saying that this story was a complete retcon, but like you just asked me a question, so I just answered it.
so, in y'all's opinions, are the animated movies the best thing going for DC right
Uh,
now?
Outside of comics, you
the
mean like
animated movies
outside of
have been
like
the
the
best thing
comics?
going for Marvel.
I'm
I mean, not
asking in
Marvel.
general, like all encompassing.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
because
think it's been the best thing going
I'm
for DC for a while.
I mean, the comics. I'm not super plugged in on what's new. Like, I just got into Infinite Frontier. I bought the first 4 issues of that. I know DC's been doing a lot, but that when I started off with the whole lead on, hey, they announced that they're going to continue to print comics. I'll be honest, on the comics front, I've been more tapped into Boom and Image recently, like the past 4 or 5 months. I tap in with Marvel and DC as I can, but I haven't really seen, other than Infinite Frontier and the Milestorms Return. I don't know what's shaking in the storylines comic wise. I'm about to dive into it. So
Yeah, I was the reason I say outside of comics is like even though I don't I don't really mess with DC comics, but I mean I see a lot of DC fans. They like their storylines along like with the comics or whatnot. So I I just more so try to be respectful of that. But according like if I had to choose, obviously I would pick DC animated movies as like something I always like look forward to. Even like if and this is as someone like I used to watch a lot of DC TV shows, not so much now. Um, but like DC animated movies, I mean, I used before like digital copies like started coming out, like I used to collect them like just as keepsakes with just like from like a DVD aspect just to have them or whatnot. But like those have always been good, even before like even before the animated like DC and the animated movie DC Verse where they all like connected, they all had the same animation and whatnot. Even before that, like they were good storylines.
Bond, your take?
I think the animated movies have been like the best thing going for a while. Um, you know, just the mo- I
What's
haven't seen too many bad animated movies from DC. I think they do. Um,
what's I got a question for you guys. What's your favorite DC animated movie as far as like the series of like the universe, and like what's your favorite DC animated movie just in general, like
Flash
outside of the universe?
Flashpoint Paradox.
I don't. Yeah, that was definitely a dope one. I don't really have one. I enjoy them all about the same. Because what these for me, I'm more of a reader. And with the new 52 reboots, the movies are great, but I went and got most of the if there's a trade or grab a novel somewhere that accompanies to it, I went and got that. And again, it's the stories. I think DC will continue to have success with the animated runs because they seem to be able to do a lot more with those movies and quicker. Versus, I know that there's a lot that goes into an actual big budget film, but in terms of a lot of these, we see the animated movies rated R off the bat. And nobody kind of bats an eye or unrated because they right off the bat they're pulling direct from content, source material, and they're making little to no tweaks at all. So that's a tried, tested, proven formula. Like I noted earlier with Batman, if they keep doing that, and they're doing it with other characters too, not just Batman, but as long as they stick to the source material, I don't see how they could go wrong. I just wish it translated over. But of all of them, I've enjoyed. I mean, and I haven't seen all of them, but I mean, every animated movie that comes out, whether it's Batman or a Justice League feature or even a Teen Titans, they're all pretty solid, in my opinion. You can't go wrong with any of them.
I think my favorite DC animated verse of the movies that were connected, it's probably Batman Bad Blood. Where you guys familiar with that one?
Yeah, I saw that now. Connection wise, that is following Son of Batman and the one with the Talon out, the owls, right? Those are all connected.
It's
Those three.
yeah, yeah, Son of Batman, Bad Blood, and yeah, those I would
Was there a
say
third in that run? Because I'm trying to think of those movies as you about to dive into them. Was there another one before that? Something Batman and Robin, maybe?
yes,
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
yeah. But that one which was basis off of like Battle for the Cow or whatnot. Uh, Obviously they're like the animated ones are a little bit different from the comics. They take some, but like I enjoyed that one um, probably the most outside of like that universe. Um, the Red Hood. Um, that was
Red Hood was
a
really
good
good.
one.
That was
Where
really good.
yeah, because I really wasn't aware of what had actually happened to
Yeah, that's one of my
Joker.
favorite Batman stories in general.
Yeah,
Like for
what
real,
it
it's just
really
a solid
yeah
story.
what it really happened to him like
Yeah.
whatnot. I wasn't aware of those details, but that's probably my favorite one outside of like the DC animated movies that connect with each other.
That's another story where Joker stole the show. I don't know why people haven't figured out that fool is just absolutely crazy. Like, there's no reasoning with that man, bro. Like, he was eating potato chips, broke the glass, sliced man's throat. It's like, bruh, when are y'all gonna realize time and time again it always backfires with the Joker? Always. I don't know. He tricked Superman into killing his family one time, didn't he? In the Injustice storyline?
I didn't
I
play
want to say
Injustice.
that's what triggered Superman to go all evil and start conquering shit in the Injustice storyline. One of Joker's toxins made him think he was seeing Doomsday, and it was actually Lois, a pregnant Lois. And Superman impaled her or killed her or something like that. And then he impaled the Joker, ran his hand right through him when he realized he killed his family.
I didn't play Injustice. So.
Say what?
Talking about the game.
Now, I mean, the game was spawned from the story or vice versa. I don't know, but yeah, that's the Injustice storyline in the comic, I think, or one of the catalysts, at least Superman going all murder happy. What we got? We've gone through Long Halloween Part 1 and 2. We've got the Suicide Squad. We touched a little about the animated movies.
I think that's it.
Anything else left on the docket?
We just did. What's your favorite DC animated movie? So, what do y'all think? What do y'all think DC is gonna do next with what they currently got set up for, like movies? I know the new Batman is coming out.
How do y'all feel about Robert Pattinson as Batman?
I was just gonna say the dude from
Trash.
I don't know. I don't care. I think he's a pretty moody looking dude. So like, as long as he can get the voice down, like I think he's already got the.
Carl said trash off
It looks
rip.
glad bags trash.
Why would you say that, Carl?
Well, you want like the truth? I mean, or like
True.
a list?
Yeah, the truth.
Yeah, sure. It's your opinion. You entitled to that, bro.
For one, he just doesn't really look like Batman. That suit he's wearing looks horrible. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a rejected like Daredevil like type of. I mean, it's just I'm not really no, just no. And
The suit has nothing to do with his actual acting ability, though, right?
it doesn't. But I'm just saying like, can, if if you're
Don't
gonna
like him.
if you're gonna start over, can we at least can I'm not saying he can't be a good Batman. Can you look the part? He doesn't look it right now. I mean, just looking the part is half the battle and stuff like this.
Mm.
What else?
My take on it, at first I wasn't super enthused, but knowing that this is I feel like this is very much because apparently they borrowed a lot from year one with this. That story, like this is a young Bruce Wayne. He's fresh out the league. He's returning, deciding that he's gonna do something about his city, save his city. With that kind of in light of that, I can't deny Pattinson can act. I liked him in The Devil All the Time. I liked him in Tenet. Outside of the Twilight series, just about anything I've seen him in, I saw The Lighthouse. He's not bad. He's as an actor, boy got some skills. So
was he in Woman in Black? Was that Patterson?
No, that was Daniel. That was Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay, my bad.
Wrong
movie.
But yeah, he's got some skills. So I'm interested to see what he brings to the character. I think it's going to heavily rely on how the movie and how this Batman is written. Because that was my same take with Batfleck. I really didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman until that scene where he took out the warehouse in Batman vs Superman when he rescued his mom. And I was like, okay, that's Batman. Like when he was getting busy, I was like, okay, that he sold me with that little
everything about that movie.
That little number. But outside of that movie was totally shudders.
I hate it.
So do we come back to Justice League? Because you asked what movie they make next. Yeah, we've got the Batman coming out and that whole Dark Knight family thing. I think they're still doing that. Ben Affleck was working on, but do they come back to Justice League in light of what Snyder laid out?
I don't
Because
know.
if you're gonna do a Flash movie and do a Flashpoint reset, which Snyder's cut gave us one, but I mean, worth a shot, baby.
I don't know because I didn't even like Snyder cut Justice League, man. I know people's like, oh, Snyder. No, I didn't even like that. It's just a longer version of the poop movie that I seen.
What didn't you like about it? What, Carl? You
It's, a,
feel the same?
it's the same movie, just longer.
Banks Banks is 110% right. Everything he just said is gospel and truth.
It's the same movie, just longer. Like,
And well, they obviously the biggest addition was the diversity. I think the fact that the story centered around Cyborg and his black family, and he was the key. Black Iris West, like a lot of that made the story make a lot more sense, but a lot of way over the top with the extra slow motion, the extra. I'm not a filmmaker yet. All right.
yeah,
I've written some stuff, and what I'm saying, I've shot some stuff, I've been in some stuff, I've acted in some stuff, but I've not produced or made my own film. All right. Sitting down watching Snyder's cut, I like to think that I edited about an extra hour of unnecessary slow motion takes that otherwise condense that to about 2.5 to 3 hours and give at least a better film than what made it to theaters. But overall, I didn't think it was super spectacular. Only it contained a lot more nods to source material that I appreciated. The Alex Ross parallels and shots, the World Without a Superman references, numerous other comments. Like I appreciated that his cut included at least incorporated a lot more of that. But yeah, I don't know if it's the way to come back, the way that all just unrolled, the way they rolled it out. I don't know if they can come back. I'll say that. I don't know if Justice League can come back.
if they do a Flashpoint reset, then reset it and build do the groundwork if you're gonna try to build a universe.
Do we go from the Snyder cut Flashpoint reset, or do we do a whole new reset in Flash? Because I think honestly, Flashpoint Paradox would be a great movie to bring live
Even if
action.
you do the Snyder cut reset, like you reset it from there, just
Right.
do the groundwork. Build it from your do the reset. Movie 1, we're laying the foundation for movie 10 right now. Like we're we have a roadmap of where we want to go. We're just not.
Do
we're
we
not,
need?
we're
But
not
do
just
we
making
need
movies
more
and hoping they
origin
go
stories,
together.
Vaughn? Do we need another Batman origin story and a
You don't need
Superman origin
you
story?
You don't need an origin story, but your first movie has to lay the groundwork for the next 5 movies. You can't just
So-
be like, oh, here's
Oh, so you were speaking Justice League, not like a Marvel reset, like just
yeah.
okay.
You don't have to if
Yeah,
you don't have to go. Oh, we're redoing Batman's origin story.
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
But lay the ground. If the first movie you make here, lay the groundwork for what the next movies are going to be, and not just oh, here's Batman, here's Superman, here's Justice League. It's like,
So we got Batman over here and Wonder Woman right there. Oh,
it's like, bro,
GL's
none
in
of
the
these-
house.
like,
Justice
yo,
League.
okay, we get it, continuity because Batman and Superman are in Justice League, but these movies don't go together. Like you're pushing too much information into 3 movies, 4 movies, and expecting it to have the same, grasp as it does, the Marvel universe, and it don't because you don't have the groundwork. Like how the hell does Wonder Woman just show up in Batman vs Superman and nobody knows it's fucking Wonder Woman? Everybody's by the time.
That was a real nasty rollout, especially considering the fact that Bruce has a picture of her and then for some reason forgets that he knows her.
Yeah, so it's like you have to lay the groundwork, and if you're gonna do a reset it and lay the groundwork. By the time Justice League comes out, everybody should know everybody. Like, hey, gal, over there, I know you're Wonder Woman. Hey, I know you're Batman. Hey, I know you're Superman. Here's our problem. Not, oh, Batman and Superman are fighting, and then Wonder Woman just shows up, and she was this, art seller that nobody knew was Wonder Woman. Bro, you should have been saving people in the city. You should have
Truthfully,
been.
nobody should know Batman is Bruce Wayne. Like only
I'm
very
not
few
saying you should
members
know
know
he's
that.
Bruce Wayne, but I'm saying
No,
you
but
should
I didn't
know.
like that in Justice League. How everybody just casually knew. He's just like, yo, you do like in terms of the kind of like very few members know Bats is Bruce Wayne. Like Clark knows, Wonder Woman knows, you know, a few others, but it's not like this open thing. Like, oh yeah, Batman's Bruce Wayne. Like, nah, like they rubbed me wrong with that. Carl, your thoughts on anything with Justice League?
Um, the Flashpoint paradox isn't a bad idea. That's a good idea, and like essentially you can use that just to start over. Like I don't think um I don't think origin stories are a good idea. I think you can have what I like to call modified origin stories. Take Batman versus Superman for instance. Like you had even a bit of origin story for Batman even in that movie, which was completely unnecessary. Uh,
Facts.
and like what you can do for the character of Batman. Like if you're like Robert Pattinson is going to be the new Batman, but let's say okay, you're doing that. What you can do instead of starting all over is basically start with a new storyline that start with tragedy, like you did with the origin story, but a different tragedy or whatnot. So a story not the average Batman movie fan isn't familiar with, like the Jason Todd story. Instead of starting out with like the loss of his parents, start off with like the loss of Robin. Like Robin has just died, and like there's this tragedy that just happened, and everybody's saying, "Wait a minute, like how can
Yeah,
Robin be dead?" Like, well,
they actually teased us with that and never delivered in Justice League and any of that because there's a shot and they shot some scenes where he's staring at the Robin suit with ha 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 spray painted all over it, and it was hinted that there was a Jason Todd tie-in that was supposed to extend to Suicide Squad, the first one, hence Batman's presence in that. But they teased that and never delivered, so we can absolutely revisit that.
Yeah, and even if they was doing like resetting, how they teased Batman throughout Suicide Squad is how they could easily just tease Superman in the
Yeah,
restart of the Batman movies. Like Batman's gaining intel on these people. Batman's doing this. Like like you're doing a Batman movie, but in parts of it, you're showing Easter eggs to let the audience know I know about Superman.
yeah,
I
like
know
Batman's
about
been
Wonder
out
Woman.
here putting in work. Yeah,
I know these people are out here, and I've done stuff with them in some form or fashion, whether it be a poster on the wall, a news clipping, or something. But just dropping Easter eggs and laying foundation to the next movie, and laying foundation to the big bad that's coming 3-4 movies later, instead of just 1-2 Justice League. Cause like bro, like you knew absolutely jack crap about Cyborg, but he's the main character in Justice League. Like, bro, I don't even know who this character is. I know who he is, but as from a movie standpoint, who is this person that you're just dropping
yeah.
into the center of the Justice League movie? You have no introduction to a lot of these characters. Aquaman didn't Aquaman come out after Justice League?
Oh yeah, that Batman versus Superman rollout, the introduction, like they were all on a floppy disk or something, a thumb drive. Like
Yeah, like
everybody's files just like
yeah, but like by that, but the you see all these them on a floppy disk, and in the very next movie, they're in there fighting crime. It's like, bro, who
yeah,
are these
yeah.
people? Like, what are their powers? Like, what are they? Can Flash is Flash at this point, or is Flash? Did he just get his suit yesterday? Like, I
Yeah.
have no idea where these people are in the timeline, what their powers are, because you didn't really introduce them. Kind of just threw them all together in the Justice League movie after Batman and Superman. Superman died in the last movie, and now he's back. It's like, bro, like what? Where are we at? You need to do a better job of rolling this stuff out. That way, I we have some understanding of where we are as far as timeline goes, or where character development, and that's really what it boils down to. There really was no character development for a lot of the main characters in Justice League. It was just kind of they just threw them in there, and hopefully you like it.
Yeah.
And like,
It felt like as a studio, they kind of relied on the fact that we all know who these characters are.
I mean, yeah, and we do.
Like that's
But
really
that
what it
still
felt
doesn't.
like.
we know who they are. That
Like,
still doesn't
like y'all
mean
know
that
who Wonder
you can't.
Woman is and
Yeah.
Batman and Superman. Like, we ain't, come on, y'all know what the Justice League.
Yeah, but
Like,
then,
that's what it felt like.
in the scheme of the movie, how do they tie in? Is more
Yeah.
so what we're, you didn't really develop them in the cinematic universe. You kind of just, oh, the fans will know, and it's like, well, that doesn't make for good storytelling in the movie. Like, yeah, we know who they are. I know who Scottie Pippen is, but if you do a Scottie Pippen movie
Yeah,
and
sure,
don't tell
sure.
me shit about Scottie Pippen, I'm gonna be like, yo, why you do that? I know who he is, but why did you do that like that? Like, let me get a feel for the character in the movie so I can like care about the character when something happens. And that's not really what happened in the DC movies. But hey, I could talk about this every week because I really hated that movie. I hated Batman vs Superman. So if you want some hot takes about Batman vs Superman, hit your boy up because I got him. So
Guys, it is past 11 o'clock. I'm all out of fresh topics. We got anything else on the dock tonight?
no.
Nope.
So
Oh, I do have two last things. On the comic front, Rebecca Pollock's Doom Patrol. She took over for Grant Morrison in '93. That is coming out in its entirety. Apparently, she was the staple and kind of defining and pushing those characters and really evolving and growing that. So that will be available July 2022. And Batman Urban Legends, Tim Drake, Robin just came out the closet. So that's out there. That's all I got. Good show, gentlemen. Really good show. Listeners, y'all can catch most of these DC animated movies. They're available. I saw Long Halloween, streamed that on Amazon. So that is a 2-part. You can rent or purchase. Also available wherever retail is at. But aside from that, Murphy's Law signing off.
Banks himself signing off. Hopefully my teeth are intact when I go to the dentist tomorrow.
And I am Carl Tomlinson.
Remember, y'all, time is money, but money does not buy time. Don't forget to stop and smell the roses. Y'all be cool. Have a good evening. Till next week. Later.
Where's the
Hit the music.
Where is it? There it goes.